In this tutorial, I'm going to share with you how to create a futuristic looking building using TinkerCad. You're going to learn how to manipulate some basic shapes and turn those shapes into forms, as well as create windows, support structures, and manipulate some of the basic things using the program TinkerCad. First, you're going to want to make an account on TinkerCad and then create a new item that you're going to create. With this, you want to rename the file something that's going to identify that it's yours so that I know who I'm printing off when I'm creating this. You'll notice that on the right hand side there are a series of shapes you can use, and you can drag and drop them into the build plate area and then manipulate them as you see fit. So as you can see, I started out with a box that I turned into a rectangle. I'm using now this cylinder form that I'm manipulating and changing as well. In addition to changing the shapes by stretching out the thickness and the height, I can also recolor them as well as stack and turn them how I want. One tool that's really helpful to use is the view box, and that allows you to turn and see what you're creating from lots of different angles so that you can get the shapes and the forms to be exactly how you want. You can create your color scheme to be whatever you like. I like going with one color, in this case white, because it allows me to see the form or the object that I'm creating all together. If you try to place an object and you can't quite see it, you may need to zoom out so that you can see exactly where it's been placed on the build form. You can zoom in and out as you see fit so that you can really see what it is that you're working on and where you're working on it. So as you can see with my model that I'm creating, I'm kind of just starting out with some real basic shapes and then using the different tools to really adjust those shapes. You can even highlight the shape that you've worked on or the form that you've worked on and then copy and paste it to make a duplicate. Repetition works really well when you're doing things with architecture, so that's something to consider. Because this is a futuristic building that I'm working on, I'm really playing around with how the shapes and forms work together and how I stack on different forms to create new combined shapes and outlines and contours. So how you choose to do this is completely up to you. Once I have layered on some basic forms to create both height, width, and depth in my structure, the next thing I can do is use some of the cutout portions to create windows and door openings. Again, you would adjust these like you would your other forms that you're placing, but instead of them being things that build on, think of them as parts that would then be negative shapes. You can copy and paste as many of these as you would like until you get enough windows and doors and openings into your structure as you would like. The big thing to remember when you're creating your structure is that this is something you're going to be able to see from every angle and point of view. So you want it to be balanced and look interesting from all sides. So you have to sometimes re-rotate and look at it from multiple angles and points of view to make sure that it is something that looks the way that you want it to look from all different angles. You can also select the whole structure and resize the whole structure so that you can move everything to scale at the same time. So you can individually adjust each component, or you can scale and move all things at once. Again, repetition is something to really consider when you're creating a structure and thinking about scale and size, as well as how you're going to have some supports work within those different shapes in the structure to make it balanced. Um, as you can see, I'm copying and pasting a lot of the forms that I've already used so that it seems like all of the pieces work together to create the final work. When you're done, you can rotate around the view of your structure to make sure that it's balanced, it has the aesthetic that you're looking for, that you have filled the space in an interesting way, and that you feel like it's ready to either submit as an image or even try to print out through the 3D printer. When you go back to your dashboard and you click on it, you want to make sure that you hit download. And when you hit download, you want to save it as the STL file. Then, once it gets printed on the 3D printer, it is something that you can photograph and upload to Artsonia and have a really awesome scaled model of a futuristic building that you have designed. I look forward to seeing what you make.